So, J. Ruud, what lovable book are we talking about today?
Well, Stacey Margaret Jones, I'll give you a hint. The Chief.
I don't know.
All right, then.
Welcome to Between the Covers, the weekly podcast in which author J. Ruud makes the case for another book in his list of the 100 most lovable novels in the English language. And I, author Stacey Margaret Jones, ask him about it, and our dog Sylvia bedevils both of us. We are, if you're just tuning in to season 3, we have relocated the podcast along with us to France. We are currently living in Burgundy, and we are broadcasting from our Airbnb. So, before we go on, can you tell me, have I read this book?
I don't think so, although you're certainly aware of it.
Okay. All right, The Chief. Okay, hint number 2.
Hint number 2, Billy Bibbit.
Nope.
And hint number 3, The Big Nurse.
Oh, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It is.
I have read that book. I read it in high school.
Okay, then.
Yeah, I remember I read it, interestingly enough, on a trip to the Black Hills where I was babysitting for pastor's camp at our church camp. But, you know, I was a congregational church kid. We read what we wanted.
There you go.
They weren't scared of kids reading. So.
Well, that's good.
All right. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey.
Ken Kesey, yes.
Awesome. Okay, what year did this book come out?
It came out in 1962.
Okay. And it's short, right? I remember.
It's not very long. It's 320 pages.
Okay. I feel like I read it before I saw the movie. Maybe we had a copy. We had a pretty good paperback collection at our house. So I think we may have owned one. That's maybe how I picked it up.
The movie came out in 1975. So.
I mean, yeah, that would have been 1986 or something like that. But, yeah. I mean, I think that movie was one that was on. Like you could find it on TV occasionally or HBO or whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
No doubt.
Awesome. Well, okay. This is interesting because I have not read that book in 40 years.
We'll see how much you remember.
That's why it took me 3 clues to get the answer. Now you say The Chief, of course, duh, but it didn't come to mind right away. But when you said the nurse.
The Big Nurse.
Nurse Ratched.
Nurse Ratched.
One of the best named characters in all of literature, I have to say.
She was a ratchet character.
All right. So besides you, who freaking loves this book?
There are many people who love this book. Ken Kesey actually was a creative writing student in Wallace Stegner's program at Stanford University when he wrote the book.
Oh, interesting.
And it became a huge bestseller, and it made him famous and brought him fortune. And he went on from that to become an icon of the 60s counterculture. He was the head of a group called the Merry Pranksters that mixed LSD consumption and multimedia performances and launched the Grateful Dead into stardom.
Sure. Okay.
All that's documented in Tom Wolfe's book, The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. But he wrote the book when he was a lowly orderly working the night shift at a mental health facility in Menlo Park, California in the late 1950s.
Well, they do say to write what you know.
Yes, and he was experiencing all these things.
Well, that's really
in the late
interesting
50s.
because we just heard yesterday on the podcast What Went Wrong about the origin of the book The Devil Wears Prada, where she was also a creative writing student. and was writing these vignettes about her time serving as the third or fourth or fifth assistant for Anna Wintour at Vogue.
Yeah.
But that was a little different because basically, I think it sounded from the podcast like they took her manuscript, which wasn't even really a manuscript. It was like I said, vignettes. And because of the subject matter, they had a publisher that was like helped her shape the book, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that he was a little farther along in his writerly development.
Probably, yeah.
The subject matter is not as pop culturally consumable.
No, but certainly proved interesting. And I actually have not answered your question. Who else loves the book?
Oh, sorry, I got off topic. It's my fault this time.
Well, not really. I went off on a tangent. But it is still one of the most admired novels coming out of the 1960s. It was on Time Magazine's list of the 100 greatest English language novels since 1923.
Sure.
It was on Barnes & Noble's list of the 50 books to read before you die.
The stakes are high. Barnes & Noble.
Read this book. Parade Magazine's 75 books of the past 75 years. And the Atlantic's 2024 list, so a pretty recent one, of the great American novels.
Oh, okay. All right.
And interestingly, it was ranked number 83 on the Union of Russian Writers 100 Books of Classical and Modern Foreign Literature.
Oh, wow.
And number 34 on the Bulgarian Big Read list. So it's pretty popular in throughout Europe. It was number 23 on the Library Journal's Books of the Century, number 22 on Penguin Classics 100 Must-Read Classics as chosen by our readers, and it came in as number 13 on the Daily Telegraph's top 50 books.
That's interesting because it was part of definitely something happening in America, right?
Yeah.
The zeitgeist. But it obviously spans cultures, and I guess it's probably maybe one of the reasons it was such a successful novel is it goes to a kind of basic human fear of, losing control of yourself, like not having control or agency in your own life and having nobody believe you, right?
Oh.
Like when you're in an institution and decisions are made for you and you don't even get to be a participant because you're not a reliable source, right?
Yeah.
So I suppose that's an essential human, like a cross-cultural human fear.
Yeah.
And also worldwide, people were pushing at authority and trying to show that authority, had its own agenda, right?
Yeah.
That it wasn't, that human rights were not necessarily the interests of the powers that be.
Yeah.
Which makes it relevant always, I guess. We constantly have to check those in authority over us.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
Well, one of the big themes of the book that the chief is the narrator of the book. He, as you probably remember,
I didn't remember that.
He's a patient in the ward who is pretending to be deaf and dumb, as they used to say. And he just kind of goes around with a broom all the time and never talks to anybody, never makes any sign that he understands what's going on. But he's faking it, and he understands everything and knows everything that's happening. But he's there because he feels like he's been kind of made small. He's a military veteran. He's a former star high school football player. His father was the chief of his tribe in Northwest America, in Washington area. But his father was kind of whittled down to size, more or less, by the government trying to get him to sign over basically his tribe's sovereignty.
Right, that goes back to The Night Watchman and what we were talking about with that novel by Louise Erdrich.
Yeah.
Just the crushing weight of the American government on anything that isn't,
Yeah.
the kind of picture postcard white Americana.
Yeah. And part of the problem is that the Chief Bromden is his name. I actually don't know what his first name is. I don't know that they ever say it. Everybody just calls him Chief. But his mother was white. And his mother apparently is the one who convinced his father to give in. And so, like I say, he's there because even though he's like 6'7", he's this huge muscular guy, but he thinks he's so little.
Right.
That he's
little inside.
He's little inside. And he has hallucinations and dreams that he talks about.
Is this the down and dirty summary?
No. This is I'm responding to what you were talking about because this plays right into that. All of his dreams and hallucinations generally involve what he calls the combine, which he visions as a large interlocking system that pervades all areas of society and quashes personal freedom. And he actually here he says this.
Yes, this is what I know. The ward is a factory for the combine. It's for fixing up mistakes made in the neighborhoods and in the schools and in the churches. The hospital is. When a completed product goes back out into society all fixed up good as new, better than new sometimes, it brings joy to the big nurse's heart.
Yeah, the combine is the patriarchal system, the capitalist patriarchal system.
Patriarchal.
The capitalist white patriarchal system, which may be why this book's so popular in Russia and in Bulgaria.
Oh, because
of this.
The view that America isn't the utopia they say it is, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's back up a little bit, sir, and try to do the down and dirty summary.
Okay.
Because if that was it, you're getting the trombone of despair. You can just jump to it.
So the novel, it's set, as we mentioned, in a mental ward, where the patients are either acutes who are curable.
They're having an incident, but they're curable.
Or chronics, which include mainly the older patients who are like completely out of touch with reality, and in which the chief is lumped by his own pretense. But anyway, the novel focuses on themes of conformity and coercion and the categories of sanity and insanity. And it provides a damning critique of psychiatry and the treatment of patients in mental institutions practiced in those years that Kesey was actually witnessing these things happening in the mental park asylum. And that's my summary.
Well, you did it. I mean, you got a point off because you said, but anyway, which is a bad sign in the summary. But you still managed to pull off the harps of glory. Yay! Woohoo!
All right.
All right. Well, I wanted to say also about that quote, which, the combine like puts them out.
Yeah.
Good as new. It also reminds me of the Bell Jar, which came out in the early 60s, I think.
I think 63.
Yeah. Where she says at the end, she's patched, retreaded, and ready for the road.
Yeah.
Which is such a perfect image because nobody thinks of a patched and retreaded tire as good as new.
Yeah.
It's just ready to go, but it's vulnerable, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's liable to
okay, you're weakened.
Explode again.
But it can be used, right?
Yeah.
It's such a perfect image, I think, of that kind of...
Yeah, these would be two novels that would be interesting to read in kind of conjunction.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating. So, well, why do you love this book? Sounds like a real uplifting experience.
It actually is. I mean, it's very depressing in a lot of ways. But the title comes from this rhyme that the chief's grandmother used to say to him when he was young that goes, vintery, mintery, cutery, corn, apple seed and apple thorn, wire, briar, limber, lock, 3 geese in a flock, 1 flew east, 1 flew west, and 1 flew over the cuckoo's nest. So the poem presents the geese as free. They're untrapped by wire, briar, or limber lock. They fly away to freedom. One of them flies over the cuckoo's nest, playing on the slang term of cuckoo for insanity.
Right.
And so the mental ward of the novel is basically the cuckoo's nest.
Right.
One of the geese flies away.
Right.
And one of the geese flies away at the end of the novel. I'm not going to tell you who.
Thank you.
Because that would be a spoiler, I guess.
Thank you. Well, that's interesting because my whole life, I mean, I've never been on this planet without this novel being there. So it's funny how the title of this really is just so deeply embedded. We don't even think about it anymore, right?
Yeah.
When you hear the title of it, you know exactly what it's about, even if you don't know anything about the novel, because the title is like just part of our cultural DNA now.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. That's interesting.
And of course, the other reason to love the novel is the really colorful characters that you find in it. In particular, there is McMurphy.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that who Nicholson plays?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I thought because I'd seen the movie, I felt like the book was from his point of view.
Yeah.
Even though I've read the book, but as I said, 40 years ago. So...
Yeah, that's one of the things that the movie changes.
Yeah, to change my memory of the book.
Yeah. The movie was so successful.
Yeah.
I mean, the book itself was pretty successful, and it became kind of popular in high schools around the country.
Yeah.
But the movie came out in 1975, and it was the first movie in 40 years, since it happened one night in 1936, where the 4 most important awards went to the same movie.
Oh, yeah.
Best Picture, Best Director for Milos Forman.
Oh, he's Czech.
Yes, he is. And he
We
would
love
win
him.
another Best Director Oscar 10 years later for Amadeus.
Amadeus.
In 1985.
Filmed in Prague, a lot of it, I think.
Yeah. So Milos Forman, Jack Nicholson, who stars as McMurphy, and Louise Fletcher, who starred as Nurse Ratched, the big nurse.
The big nurse.
So it's kind of like, I remember when we talked about The Maltese Falcon. The movie, it was a case where the movie's more famous than the book, and most people, when they think of it, think of the movie first.
Yeah.
That's probably true with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest too, because it was so critically successful.
Well, I think the fact that the Oscars also responded in that way, 'cause, I mean, you know, the Oscars can be, sometimes they get it wrong, so to speak. But even like, okay, so the book came out in 64?
62.
62, and then the movie in 74?
75.
75. So 13 years later, but even then, I think it's still a lot of the same issues in society, obviously.
Yeah.
And the Academy is responding to, you know, this zeitgeist, right? That bubbles up and is kind of captured and contained in this movie.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. The actor who played Billy Bibbit, one of the other inmates.
God, I don't remember that at all. Blank.
He's the young guy who's there apparently because his mother wants him there. He's 31, but she still wants him to be like 12. Mm-hmm. And he kind of acts that way a lot. Mm-hmm. But the guy who played him, Bradford Claude Dourif, was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but he didn't win. But kind of an interesting point that his next really notable role came like a quarter of a century later when he played Grimo Wormtongue in Peter Jackson's film of Tolkien's
sure.
Two Towers.
Well, I remember that. I remember who he is in that. Ugh,
Yeah.
gross. He needed to be institutionalized
Yeah.
before he
and
got to Theoden.
The movie also won the Oscar for the Best Adapted Screenplay for Lawrence Halban and Bo Goldman.
All right.
And one of the things they did, that probably the biggest change they made from the book, was not to make the movie from the chief's point of view, which would have been hard to do.
Because he's just kind of silently watching.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you'd have a lot of voiceover narration probably.
Yeah.
It'd be a different kind of movie.
Yeah. And you have an actor like Nicholson who, the camera loves.
Yeah. Randall P. McMurphy.
Yeah.
He bursts onto the scene when he comes into the ward from he's serving a sentence for gambling and fighting, and he's sent to a work farm, and he kind of fakes it to make them think he's crazy so that he can serve his sentence in this cuckoo's nest, where he thinks he's going to have a much easier time.
You do not want to be there.
The nurse, the big nurse, as the chief calls her, Nurse Ratched, she controls this place probably more completely than a prison. Nobody does anything that she does not want them to do, and she has ways. She doesn't control them by punishing them so much as by this sort of all this really manipulative, passive aggressive.
I was going to say passive aggressiveness.
Way of dealing with them. Of course, she can't always send them upstairs to the disturbed, where they're going to get an electroshock treatment. And if people don't want that, then they'll do what she says.
Right. Coercion, threats, fear, manipulation.
Yeah. But when
none
McMurphy,
of which are mentally healthy ways of having things happen. Like she's she's not the most, but she's also mentally ill, right? Or mentally unhealthy. Let's say that.
Yeah. There's a lot of question about who's sane and who isn't.
Right.
I think that you go through as you go through the book.
Yeah, I recently saw that sentence or axiom that was, in a toxic system, the healthy person is the one who's going to be attacked. Right?
Yeah.
Because everybody else is like subjugating themselves to the toxic rules and norms.
Yeah.
And then the healthy person who says, no, these are my boundaries. Oh, I will not do that. It's against my ethics. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to be honest with you about what happened. That person is going to be like, everybody's going to be like, what are you doing? You have to stop,
Yeah.
So she also is unhealthy in her own way.
Yeah.
But her way has power.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It has a lot of power. McMurphy kind of, he's like the snake who comes into her Eden. And, he leads the men astray. He sets up a gambling den, basically. They play poker for cigarettes. Then she confiscates all the cigarettes so nobody can have their cigarettes unless they come to her and ask her, may I please have a cigarette?
Right,
kind of thing.
right.
So they can't use them for gambling. He organizes a basketball team. He rallies everybody to vote on whether they can change the daily schedule so that they can watch the World Series. And she says, well, okay, any change in policy has to be changed by a vote of all the patients. So they vote, and basically everybody who is paying any attention votes in favor of McMurphy. But then she says, what about the other patients? It's the acutes who vote with McMurphy. the others,
But the chronics.
they don't know what's going on
Right.
at all.
Yeah, it's Kafkaesque. Like there's
yeah.
always a reason that something can't happen, or that's because, like, the system will always crush you.
Yeah. But then the chief raises his hand.
Because he's a chronic, right?
He's a chronic, and he's you know, it's like, well, should I raise my hand? Then they might know that I actually can understand what's going on. But when he does raise his hand, she says, "Oh well, it's too late. The vote's already been taken."
Right.
And what happens is that the next day, when the World Series game is supposed to be on, McMurphy sits in a chair with the blank TV, watching it, and everybody joins him, and they watch the TV, which is completely blank, pretending that there's a game going on, which really gets her goat.
Yeah.
So he's kind of got her on the ropes in a way.
Yeah.
But he learns a couple of things. He learns that the acutes are almost all there voluntarily, that they haven't been put there by a court or anything.
Well, he's voluntary in a way, right? He chose it over prison.
He manipulated them basically into putting him there.
Yeah.
But what he finds out is that he's committed.
Oh.
And the rest of them aren't.
They can leave?
They can leave when they want
that.
to. He can't leave when his sentence is up.
Right.
He can only leave when the nurse says he's able to go back into society.
She'll never say that.
No, she never will.
Oh my God.
So, it shocks him to see that the men there have given up their freedom and their manhood, basically, to willingly live under the big nurse's bullying.
Interesting. That's why it's a hopeful novel?
No. He does...
Don't spoil it, though.
Oh, no, I'm not
Okay.
going to. For a while, he backs off because he's found that out. He becomes friends with the chief, who opens up to him, and he's the only one in the whole place who actually knows that the chief can see and hear.
Right.
And speak. But his rebellion does start up again eventually. One thing that happens is that he's noticed that everybody on the ward is like always sober. Nobody ever laughs.
Oh.
And he doesn't understand that because he can't conceive of somebody being fully human who is without laughter.
Mirth or joy.
Yeah. And he organizes a fishing trip that they allow him to go on because the doctor goes along with him to supervise. And he takes like the rest of the acutes along with him, and the chief goes along on this fishing trip. There's actually a sex worker who's along on this fishing trip too. But this is a kind of climactic point for the other patients. And the chief describes it with a lot of laughter.
While McMurphy laughs, rocking farther and farther backward against the cabin top, spreading his laugh out across the water, laughing at the girl, at the guys, at George, at me sucking my bleeding thumb, at the captain back at the pier, and the big nurse, and all of it. Because he knows you have to laugh at the things that hurt you, just to keep yourself in balance, just to keep the world from running you plumb crazy. He knows there's a painful side. He knows my thumb smarts, and his girlfriend has a bruised breast, and the doctor is losing his glasses. But he won't let the pain blot out the humor, no more than he'll let the humor blot out the pain.
So, yeah, the laughter is the better medicine.
I was gonna say
for the crazy than the things that happen on the ward.
Well, maybe the ward over time may have shifted from restoring the health of the patients to controlling the patients.
Yeah.
So day-to-day control may not put them towards mental health, right?
Yeah.
And some of them want to be there. So some of them don't want to be seen as healthy because, they just want to get up and have the same day they had yesterday for their own reasons. If they were really wanting the patients to be healthy, there would be humor, right? There would be joy.
There would be a lot more of these fishing trips.
Yeah,
things
exactly,
like that.
exactly. But then, like I said, if their goal shifted over time to control, then, you can achieve that every day. And if that's your goal and it's the most important thing, you're going to do things that you wouldn't have thought you'd do just to meet your goal.
Yeah.
Like manipulate, threaten, harm, That's interesting.
So this is the most human that the patients in the book ever are.
Right.
At least it sets them on that path.
Yeah.
Now the nurse gets back at them for doing this.
Right.
She learned about the sex worker being along on the boat and says they have to have this scrubbed down with this it's like slimy stuff that because she doesn't want anybody bringing microbes or whatever back to the ward. And when they're doing this to the guys who've been on the fishing trip, there's one guy named George who's very fragile, and he doesn't like anybody touching him. When they try to force him to take this, McMurphy just flies off the handle and has a fight with one of the orderlies and basically beats him up. And the chief beats the other orderly up. Oh. And they're both sent upstairs to have the electric shock treatment. Oh. And McMurphy has it 3 times because he keeps saying, that made me feel good. Why don't you? So it's like, his posing.
Right.
Finally, they're sent back, but there's a rumor that the next step with him is he's going to get a lobotomy.
Yeah. Is that a spoiler?
No. So he makes plans to escape. Uh-huh. And they have this party, and they bring the sex worker secretly in overnight because he wants Billy to lose his virginity. Yeah. And he wants to be woken up like at 5 a.m. so that he can get out of there before the day shift comes on. But then he oversleeps. The day shift comes in. They find Billy with the sex worker. Nurse Ratcheds uses all her passive-aggressive, manipulative personality on Billy and says, "What worries me, Billy," she said. I could hear the change in her voice. That's the chief talking. Is how your mother is going to take this.
Jeez Louise. Right, and if he had a real mental health professional, that would be the last thing they would say to him, right? Because his problem is how his mother is going to take everything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And there are real mental health professionals. It's just that the big nurse is in control of everybody, including the doctors. Right.
Because she's on the ward all the time.
Yeah.
And
And she runs it, and they do what she says.
I read this before I was in a eating disorder program for 6 weeks, so I was inpatient, right? So I guess it's a mental health ward. I could have left any time. It wasn't, I wasn't put there against my will or anything. But the nurses there were, like, there was a nurse who ran our group therapy. I can still see her face. When she asked us a question and I answered it, she asked us, how many of you have lied about your disease, right? Which is a pretty good cliche. I mean, eating disorder people lie because everybody asks you, did you eat or whatever? Well, I lived in a dorm in college, and I had been pretty upfront about it from the beginning. I didn't have a reason to lie. If somebody asked me if I ate, I'd say, no, I did not, So I said, everybody raise their hand, and I didn't raise my hand because I had not lied about it. And she, oh my God, she just accused me right then and there of lying and was like determined that I was going to tell her the truth. And I was like, Drew, I am here voluntarily to get better. I have no reason to lie to you, right? And that was just such a weird thing. And that was, for me, I was kind of like, okay, I need to get my own therapist Like this nurse in group therapy is not my advocate. She's running her own game here.
It sounds like even by then things hadn't changed all that much.
No, and it was just, that is a tiny, 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 in terms of the level, it's small compared to this, where he's committed, right?
Yeah.
He faces possible, just the personal obliteration of his mind, right? His sense of self, etc. This was not on the table for me, but I can't even tell you how frustrating it was to me to be telling the truth and be accused of lying because I was categorized as a liar. By someone who had authority and control over me. She could have taken away my passes, right? She could have made things more difficult for me. She could have, whatever. And so just having that experience, maybe I should read this again, or maybe I shouldn't. But I can say that those kinds of things ring true. Obviously, he had experience with it because he saw what was happening. Yeah. And he probably saw the ways that the patients were treated that was, dehumanizing to them. Yeah. So just my own little story there.
Well, and Billy's sort of in your situation because he isn't committed. He's there voluntarily.
Right.
So anyway, the novel is at its crisis point there. And spins wildly toward a powerful conclusion that I'm not going to tell you about because, of course, that would be a spoiler of immense proportions.
You're welcome,
so you need to
dear listener and
read
viewer,
the book if you
because
haven't.
I work on him very hard to make sure he spoils nothing. All right. Well, why might someone not like this book?
Well, there are a lot of people who haven't liked this book. It has been popular in high schools. But it's one of the most challenged books for banning or taking out of the curricula in America. Mm-hmm. It's been challenged or removed from the curriculum or libraries in towns from Colorado to Ohio to New York to Maine to New Hampshire to Washington to California to Idaho, where the Fremont High School teacher who assigned the book was actually fired.
Yeah.
And as in most such cases, complainants pick and choose small incidents in the book and take them out of context. So people challenging the novel called it pornographic, claimed it glorified criminal activity, promoted secular humanism.
It's so funny when people object to the books and it's like, you haven't read the book, or if you did, you did not understand it, right?
Absolutely. That it contained profanity, violence, sexual situations, and, oh yes, it taught children how easy it is to smother somebody so that they're going to think that when they get mad at their parents, they can just axe them out.
Oh my goodness. These parents, their relationships with their children are really, really fragile, aren't they?
Yeah, geez. So the actual novel, when you read it, turns out to be none of those things.
No. Well, honestly, it might be threatening because the novel is saying that those in authority over you aren't automatically right.
That is
probably
true.
the most threatening aspect of the novel of all.
Yeah.
They had their reasons for disliking it, but they couldn't say that.
They couldn't put their finger on the precise reason.
But they knew it was trouble.
Yeah. But there are a few other reasons that you might not like the book.
Yes.
One is that feminist scholars have made some serious criticism of the book. It's more than anything a plea for personal freedom in a society intent on suppressing freedom. But
that freedom is for men.
Well, it's particularly enforced. The lack of freedom is enforced by women throughout the novel because it's Chief Bromden's mother, it's Billy Bibbit's mother.
Yep.
It's Nurse Ratched, the mother of the mental ward, who are the ones who are limiting the freedoms, even though, in actual society,
they're
it's
agents
mainly
of
men who are in control, but they're
agents of the society, and they are the doers and the actors on the scene. Yeah. Also, there's one other woman, and it's the sex worker.
Yep. So masculine freedom involves sexuality, and that's where the sex workers come in.
Yeah.
But the personifications of the power of the women. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
a manosphere book.
And it does suggest Kesey's something of a misogynist.
Yeah. Well.
But some people have said it might be Freudian, because psychiatrists of the 50s were always asking their parents all about why they hated their mothers.
Yeah, and I mean, people thought that people were gay because of their mothers, right? First of all, they thought that being gay was a problem, and secondly, that it was a problem caused by women, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we know these things, so I understand.
And one of the main characters beyond those few I've already mentioned in the book is a guy named Harding, who, when McMurphy first comes to the ward, he says, "Who's the head nutcase around here?" I'm going to challenge him. And it's Harding, who's this kind of intellectual, and he's there. He's not committed. He's there as an acute.
As a chronic?
He's an acute.
Okay.
And it's his wife who's his problem.
Right.
He has all these things. And in group, they're always talking about Harding's wife. And it's
we could only be happy if these women
would leave us alone.
Would know their place and leave us alone.
Yeah. He has what you finally realize, I think. I mean, maybe it depends on how soon you realize it. You might realize it right away. But it seems clear that he's gay. He talks to McMurphy later in the book about being different and how that affected what people thought of him.
Right.
So it's another case of the woman being blamed, basically.
There's no woman in it that's like.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the sex worker Candy is a really nice woman. So it's not that there aren't any, but she is kind of the exception.
Yeah, and what is her role?
Well, no, that's not completely true. The nurse on the disturbed ward is actually really nice. So they aren't all.
Yeah. I understand. It's interesting to me that these rather serious sexist issues with the novel don't make you take it off.
Well,
you are a dude.
I mean that's a flaw in the novel, but the novel overall, what it has to say, I think is really important. I mean, there's also a little bit of racist problem in the book. I mean, the chief obviously is an Indian, and he's the chief sane person in a lot of ways.
Right.
But all of the orderlies are black, which might just be a realistic picture of the times when these people didn't get paid much, they didn't have to have much education.
Right.
Probably there were a lot of black orderlies. There is one place when McMurphy gets in a fight with the one guy who's trying to force George to take his cleaning. McMurphy spouts a lot of pretty racist slurs as he's fighting the guy. So that is a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, McMurphy does have a friendly relationship with the black guy who's on the night shift. It's not completely. You could excuse that maybe as a one-time thing, and it's when he's out of control because of what the guy's doing.
Yeah, but
there is this,
you don't say those things when you're out of control.
No.
So I mean.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway.
But yeah, so there's a large case of misogynism
and racism,
and a small case of racism in the book, and so those things do.
Yeah. So this may not be the book for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about the ranking.
Well, I am, because of those flaws,
So it's on the list, but
I'm not putting it real high.
Right.
I think it's deserves to be on my 100 most lovable novels, but I'm going to put it at number 75 at this point.
All right. And we have how many books?
This we have 79 right now.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's not at the bottom, but
right after his Dark Materials and right before the Maltese Falcon.
okay. Interesting. All right. Well,
Okay.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
There it is.
Okay.
Go and read it. Go watch the movie if you haven't. You'll be glad you did.
If you haven't already.
If you haven't already. So is it time for Chaos Reader?
Yes. Well, last time I promised that I would finish my book by the time we recorded again, but we recorded 2 days later, so I did not have time. I think, finishing, which is what Jay and I say when we are within 100 pages of the end. I think I'm scaring the hell out of finishing the book. So this is What We Can Know by Ian McEwan, and I am really enjoying it. And he's started a kind of epic journey because he thinks he has a lead on where the poem may be, the missing poem. So I don't want to spoiler it anymore. So we can talk a little bit about Trollope, the Eustace Diamonds, which we also are reading aloud.
And we're nowhere near finished.
We're in the 400s, and we're just.
But Trollope
we just keep going.
Never met an 800-page novel he didn't like.
And we just had this little kind of drama on the hunt at Portray, her Lizzie Eustace's Scottish home, with an engagement, and really reminded me of what I see on TikTok now, because the affianced woman does not want to get married. She's pretty again it, but she understands the brief and what she needs to do for her own economic safety. And so it's just this little kind of drama in the midst of everything else, because the Eustace Diamonds, we're still arguing about the diamonds. Were they a gift? Weren't they? Are they an heirloom? Aren't they? Does she have to give them back? Who will she marry? Anyway, it's great. Nothing happens, and yet what's going to happen next? It's just Trollope, man. He really knows. He does his own thing really well. Anyway, I'm really enjoying it. Honestly, I'm not in a hurry for it to end, because, as always with Trollope novels, I just like being there. It's a fun place to be. The language is fun, and the characters are so real and interesting, and so
You enjoy the journey. Not where it ends up.
It is the journey. I was thinking about that today, because I was thinking about learning a language, since we're trying to improve our French, and we will be for the rest of our lives. And I was thinking, wow, there is, I've run marathons before. And when you run a marathon, you train for months and months, and you cross a finish line. But, when you learn a language, there's no finish. I'm still learning things about the English language every day. So I was thinking about how there is no finish. There's nowhere to get except just every day try to get a little better, learn another thing. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank our podcasting sensei, Jerry Bruno, who makes the cover art for our YouTube and helps us with all of our questions. And of course, we'd like to thank our listeners and viewers, people who hit like on your podcaster machine or your YouTube. We see all of those, and we really, really appreciate everything. And we'd love it if you just tell another book-loving friend about our podcast. And most of all, we'd love it if you just keep listening or watching. So we'll see you next week.
Between the covers.